Public Community Colleges Act, which stipulates that all institutional programs offered at community colleges are to be reviewed once every 5 years. So that's the reason we go through this process, and there is a very specific process to do that. Why? Why do we want to do this review? Of course, this is mandated, but most importantly, we're trying to figure out how to offer quality programs that are relevant to the communities and also at a cost-effective way. So that's the basic purpose of this review. Going through this review, we reflect on these programs, what changes we can make to make it more cost-effective, more relevant to our community, and of course, the best quality. So that's the purpose of ICCB program review. Let's go into the process. What's the process? So ICCB has a review schedule that spans over 5 years. So the cycle is 5 years long. And since we have so many programs, ICCB has divided this entire process into, or review areas into four areas: career and technical education, academic disciplines, cross-disciplinary instruction, student and academic support services. So some of you are working on the CTE portion of it. Some of you are probably on the academic disciplines, then cross-disciplinary and student and academic support services. Generally, these reviews address three things: the need for the program, the cost of the program, and the quality of the program. And as I mentioned, since we have so many programs, during these 5 years, certain programs are assigned to certain years. So under these four areas, the certain programs are assigned to certain years. So let's go into that schedule for the current cycle we are in. That's 2017 to 2021. So we will focus on the 2021, I'm sorry, 2020, FY20 schedule. So we are basically looking at the humanities and fine arts for academic disciplines, student and academic support services. We are looking at disability services, counseling and advising, and library. Then cross-disciplinary, we will be reviewing adult education, including ESL. Then CTE, we have several programs. We just showed the short list there, but it's much more than that list you see there. So that's the schedule for this year. Based on this schedule, we have prepared a schedule for Trident. That's what you're seeing right now on your screen. So our schedule starts in February, and we get that completed by September. That's our schedule. So by this time, you'd have received your templates, you'd have received your data that would be used in the review. I hope you have started working on it, but I'm sure you have a lot of questions probably related to the templates and also the data we have sent you. So Marylou is going to explain the templates in details and also the data you have received, and we will answer any questions you have about the templates and the data. Marylou?
Sure. First off, I always like to start with what I consider just the thought process of working on these reviews. Since it is such a cycle, we start the cycle by looking at our previous review. And so, I'd like to ask the question, what did we say we were going to do 5 years ago? And these documents are included when in the package that I've sent out. So I want you to go and look at that and review what you said you were going to do in this 5-year period. And then through the template, you're going to be really answering questions. What have we done in the last 5 years? And so, with that, then we are able to look at the action plan. So what do we plan on doing after, based on the review that we just went through? So again, it's a complete cycle of a thought process from what did we do to what are we going to do. And so in filling out these templates, these are just the basic process that we want you to do. So you need to be concise in your answers. Again, all of these templates are put together in one big document that ends up being over 300 pages typically. So, to just, it's not about how much information you put in there, it's about being as concise as you can to answer the questions. We don't want you to just copy in data. We want you to summarize the data and use your words to make your statements. You'll see within the templates that I've given little hints that can be used to answer the questions. And so these are bracketed hints, and we just want you to be sure you remove those hints. And as well as that, there's also some answers that I have given that are not bracketed, and those may be possibly, institution-wide answers that I may give as far as, maybe what kind of training do we offer. So I'd like you to keep those institutional unbracketed comments in there, but I also need you to probably also give some department area answers to those. So if I've given an institutional response, there's probably a department response also. And of course, the big thing is that ICCB will not accept any blank responses. So there should be very few not applicable answers, but overall, every cell should be filled in with a response. So I'm going to really focus on the CTE and the academic discipline forms right now. So I've kind of put them side by side because they do have a basic structure that each area is covering. So again, as I said, we're going to start out the template with kind of a review area that is talking about, the area, and we'll ask, kind of give an overview of your area. It's going to ask you about your prior review. And then within each area, there are the three basic structures that Kurian already mentioned. We're going to talk about the need, the cost effectiveness, and the quality of the program. And within each of those sections, the last question is a summary question. So it gives you an opportunity to go back and reflect on your answers. And it's going to say basically, based on the needs that you've just presented, what are some action plans or action thoughts? Because it will build up to a final action plan at the end. So yes, the green areas are the supporting documents that I've submitted with this package that I've given to you. So for instance, on the CTE area, I will have given you the prior review. I will tell you what curriculum data needs to be added. I will give you demand data and cost data that will be used as supporting evidence to answer your questions. And then there's a data analysis section in each of the areas. And so for the CTE, your data analysis is looking at your enrollment data. And then I've also provided some disaggregate data. So the enrollment data is going to, how many students have been enrolled over the last 5 years, how many have completed the program, and then the disaggregate data will look at it within gender and race ethnicity. So basically, the question is going to say, After you have the data, it's going to say, look at the data and review what it means. And so, at that point, you're going to look at your 5 years of data and say, has there been an increase? Has there been a decrease? Are you still getting completers out of it? So just answering some of those questions will help you fill in this document. And then the disaggregate data, we look at that in 3 tiers. So basically, I want you to look at the disaggregate data because it's going to ask you, are there any gaps in the program data as compared to the institution? And so this is a good opportunity to look at your data. And I will use the example of gender. If, for example, your program is 98% male, then that's something to look at and say, yes, there's a gap because institutionally our data is like 45-55 male female, and so if you have a program that's 98% male, then you're going to say there's a gap. We need to have females in this program, and so that's kind of the way you're looking at this data. You will also then look at this data at a district level too. So I've provided that information. And so, how is your program in relation to the institution and to the male-female quotas of the district? Now, in the academic discipline area, the academic discipline area is looking at courses versus the programs, but it's a similar concept. So I will have given you the enrollment. I will have given you the success. Also, the success of the student, and then also that is given in disaggregate data also. So again, the comparison of how are the course enrollments going to the institution and to the district. And then as you flow through all of that, again, you should be thinking about what are we going to be doing in the next 5 years. And so that brings us to our review results. And so you're going to state it in action, and you're going to state a rationale for that action, and you're going to state some intended action steps. Now again, these templates are then going to be given to your dean, who's then going to review them, and there should be some discussion back and forth regarding that before it even comes to us. And our role is really, we then finalize the document as far as formatting to make sure the presentation is good. We do reread things to make sure they make sense, that it's a complete answer. But our role is really to just finalize the document prior to going off to ICCB. And I will also say that, after research finishes it off, it then will go to the administrative area. Definitely President Moore will be reading this also. So keeping that in mind. So again, I think at this point I'm just going to talk about the supporting documents that we have. I've pretty much stepped through it, but I will say them again. So again, for the prior review, these are questions that you can ask, what did we say we would do? What have we done in the last 5 years? And again, what is our intended action plan? So you're going to actually go into the review and see what you said. And then I have given you some demand data. There are some demand questions. How how much demand is your program? I believe a lot of you do have certain areas that you go to, but I have given you this demand data. And I've also given you a document. I understand you can't read this, but the basic structure of the demand data that I've given you will show these 7 little areas. Well, so definitely by zip code. We then cross-reference that to a SOC code. So a zip code is a program code. A SOC code is in a position code, I mean what the job is, and then we gather this information from our Burning Glass software, and you're going to be able to use this data. Now, you don't necessarily have to use all of this data, but it's provided. But basically, I've given you in this section 3, you compare the number of jobs posted versus the number of people who are employed. So this gives you, a good reference to say if the number employed is higher than the number of job postings, there's an issue that you want to consider there. So if you have high job postings and the employment, so it just gives you a reference of an area to talk about as far as the demand of this program. And then there's another section that talks about employment, and so it's actually showing you the change of employment, and I believe this is changed to 2018, and then the projected change in the future. This slide is just older from a year ago.
Marylou, I'm just going to
Yes.
jump in here. Daniele has his hand raised.
Sure. Hello, Daniele.
Hi, Marylou, is this, maybe you mentioned this and I didn't hear it. Is this just for the CTE programs or is it for the academic side also?
Yes, thank you. The demand data is for the CTE area, the program review. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. So then section 5, we have the mean salaries versus actual salaries. I'm sorry, the mean advertised salaries versus the actual salaries. And again, just two different perspectives to say, what are people looking for and what are people actually getting paid. This is true about section 6 and 7. It tells us what kind of education are people looking for versus what kind of education people who are employed have. So again, this is just a broad range of demand data that we hope you can utilize within these statements. And then also within the CTE review is the cost analysis. And so this is the IPR cost that we are giving. So it is by discipline. And so there are several questions out there, and I do have the reference of 2.1. What are the costs associated with this program? So you're able to look at this data to answer that question. And how does the unit cost compare to the college average? So actually, I'm then underneath the data, I show you that within the template, I have filled in, the response that says and then fill in the blank, department costs are, with revenue of, and institutional effect of. And so you can just pull that data right out of the chart. And then question 2, regarding the unit cost compared to the college average, we use the relative cost factor value. And so institutionally, that will be stated, and I think this is also a year-old chart, but the adjusted RCF will be listed for the institutional value, as well as you will see your discipline, and then you can make some comparative statement. And so I'm just continuing on with this. So for example, the speech department costs were with revenue of and the institutional effect of, and then you can just fill in the RCF area. And feel free to, in any of these, even if I give a statement, to expand or broaden any statement for your benefit.
Daniele, did you want to jump in here again?
No, Marylou actually answered my question.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Okay, and then I talked about the disaggregate data that's also been given. So again, the questions are, institutional data by gender. So I give you the institutional data by gender as well as your gender by your curriculum code. So again, you can do those comparisons. The same is true with the race and ethnicity. And these are the questions that will be asked. Were there any gaps in the demographic data? And then, are the students in this program representative of the college, at which point you'll compare to the institution? And are these students in the program representative of the district? And that data will also be given in the template. And then this is, again, the area that I think is most important. So after filling out all of this, you will have seen that you started with looking at the review and what did we say we were going to do? Well, at this point, this is the point you're going to look at 5 years from today, So what do you say you're going to do in the next 5 years? And so then it gives you an opportunity to make this as your statement. This is also the statement that's going up to your deans as far as what action steps you plan on doing. And, again, for the administration to be reading this, but most importantly, this is what you're going to come back to in 5 years to say, have we accomplished what we wanted to do? I wanted to go in, we have no questions yet. I wanted to go in and just give you an example, of the template. So I am going to, let me just go quickly through, didn't open the CTE one. Let me go through I will go through yours, Daniele. So this is actually an academic discipline template, and they are pretty similar. So I just hadn't opened one. I want to show you that, again, they're structured the same, and this is what would be the bracketed comments that I've added. So in this case, it's telling you to review the document. And then if there are no comments over here, certainly, as we said, the no cell can be left blank. And so, you will just be able to add whatever information you need to add in this. Within this cost-effective area, again, this is by discipline. And so the academic discipline, though, is talking about courses. It does start with the overall objective of the discipline. So this is what you will be to answer overall, what is philosophy program objective? And based on that, you will be able to use the cost for the specific discipline. And this is the area that I had talked about with the cost and how I have given you the answers, and then you can fill in whatever you want, how you want to fill it in. Okay, and again, I had said that at the end of each of these sections, so this is our indicator 2, cost effective. The last question is really, is there a need for additional resources? So somehow this is kind of the summary question as far as looking at these individual indicators.
Daniele, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, on the program objectives, those are the same as the objectives that the assessment committee has highlighted and revised recently, right? They're not different. They're not a different set of objectives. Is that correct?
I would say yes, that is correct. Again, so those are, well, and they could not, maybe not necessarily just be stated as ... each, but yeah, definitely the goal. What are your goals in this disciplinary area?
Thank
you. So again, then it goes down through quality. So you're going to talk about the quality of the program. And again, here's a good example of a section that I have given an institutional level. So what assessment does the discipline use to measure full-time and adjunct instructors? So this institutional level question is in all of these forms across the way, but it gives you an opportunity to then say at the discipline level, students are assessed. So you have your area that you can be specific about. Same thing here at the professional development. We have a statement that we've included for at Triton College, but how is your disciplines taking care of professional development? Gives you an opportunity to give the 2 levels as a response. And then so we come through, and again, did the review of quality result in any action or modification? So this is the area that you're really going to say overall. So again, this is the overall area that you're responding to for the discipline. And then within academic disciplines, you will be assessing each of your courses. So again, I've built these templates for all of the courses that need to be reviewed. I've added the course description, the course title. This is the data that I've provided. So the number of students who have been enrolled in Philosophy 101 over the 5 years, the credit hours that were produced over the 5 years, and the success rate. Again, success rate is the denominator does not include the withdrawal students. So it's those successes A, B, or C out of those students who have completed the course. So it gives you an opportunity then to look at that data and say, does the data support the course goals? So are your enrollment numbers increasing? Is that a goal? If it looks like these are not, and I'm not pointing things out, but this is kind of how you're going to look at the data to say what happened across the 5 years. Are we trying to have a certain success rate that we want to look at? And again, I think all of this does intertwine with your assessments. What disaggregate data was reviewed. So again, this is a blanketed statement that I've entered. So unless you've looked at something else, that's an adequate answer. And then there identifiable gaps in the data. So this is another opportunity that you can look at the disaggregate data. You can look at this data to really kind of see, are you really doing what you want to do within this discipline or this course? And then again, the summary section. So here's our intended action plans. What steps will be taken for the next 5 years to maintain continuous improvement for these courses? And then again, my statement that, again, this is what you're going to come back to and look at 5 years from now. And then the rationale, are there resources needed? And this, who is responsible for completing and implementing the modifications? And so again, just that's the end of the course section. And then for each course, you would have this opportunity to review. Okay, I'm going to have to.
Hello, Jacqueline had a quick question in the chat box. She asked is this a worksheet or is this the document that is submitted to ICCB?
Correct. Thank you. So yes, this template, as you get it and you fill it out, will be exactly what you resubmit to your deans, who will then submit it to us. And this is exactly what we merge together into one big document. So this is not a worksheet. This is really the report.
Jacqueline, did that answer your question? And then Jacqueline also asked if you could send the document from 5 years ago.
Yes, it should have been included. And Jacqueline, I'm sorry, is doing what area?
It's Jacqueline Lynch from Adult Ed. Go ahead, Jacqueline. Jump in.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Marylou. I'm looking at the documents you sent, and you sent a summary doc, and you sent one called Adult Ed Only, but I don't see anything that looks like this table. That's why I asked if it was a template.
Okay.
What I see is a lot of text.
Okay, yes. So actually, Jacqueline, these templates are new in the 2017,
Oh, okay.
2021. So they're not the same structure. So the summary report that you will get, you'll also see that, you know, these templates provide a much better opportunity to review. They used to just be very, you know, just qualitative, but not any structure to it. So yes, they will not look the same.
And can we go forward and back with you on this? So if we do a bunch of it and we say, okay, take a look at this and what do you think? And that you will edit and help us work on it?
We're very glad to do that, correct.
Thank you, thank you.
And I actually, because Jacqueline, I also know last year you had started with this, but you will see that your adult education template changed this year from what we had shown you last year.
Yes, yes, I saw
So
that. Thank you.
yes, it did get you a little bit more defined too. So then I guess, you know, do you want me to go to a CTE? I have to open one. Sorry, let me just see if I can get this. I thought I had this opened. I don't know if this messes up the show. Can you see this CTE?
Looks great.
Okay. Alrighty. And I think Calvin was on. So this is actually a business report, but I want to show you the CTE to just kind of step through it quickly. So again, the CTE has the program name, what kind of degree it is, degree or certificate, the number of credit hours, and then the zip code. I will say, and for the areas that have stackable, I don't put this information, but you would need to present that in this document. So again, the structure of the CTE form is the same in that you start out with an introduction and then a statement about your past review, and again using the document. There's a review team question, stakeholder engagement question. And then we go into our needs of area, and again the 3 indicators. I have these commented hints that you can use. So this will be your demand data that I present to you to look at. And then we go into the cost effectiveness area, which again, the same structure answer as we saw with the academic discipline. And then again, the summary question, based on your comments above, please explain any anticipated actions or modifications. And this is going to roll up to the final summary question. And your quality, so the quality has about 30 questions. Again, discuss the program strengths, discuss the program weaknesses. This is all a time for reflection on your program. Career path program. So this is a new question. Does the program meet the definition of a career path? You can click on this link to get to that ICCB page. What innovations that contribute to quality or academic success? You know, I just like to say, brag about your program. You know, this is an opportunity for you to really state, you know, what are you doing in your program that is new and innovative. There's dual credit questions. Talk about work-based learning opportunities, apprenticeships, partnerships with your cooperative agreements. Again, similar to, you know, what assessment methods are used. So I've given you it at an institutional level, and, you know, please expand on that at your program level. We have questions here about how satisfied are students with the preparation of this employment. So I'm sorry, we have employment questions based on the graduating students survey, based on the alumni survey. So I've added all that data. Feel free to make any comment over and above. How is student satisfaction information collected? So this is a blanketed overall statement. If you do anything over and above in your area, feel free to add to it, but you know, we're talking about at an institutional level. This is our employer survey data. So how satisfied are employers in the preparation of the programs? I've given you that information. How is employer satisfaction information collected? I've given you that information. And then again, we come to our summary question of this quality area, and did the review of the program quality results in any action or modifications? So these last three questions of these three indicators can then be used in the very end. Within the CTE program, instead of looking at it by course, we're looking at it as the whole program. So the number of students enrolled over the 5 years, the number of completers. We then go through, again, the same review of were there any gaps, look at this disaggregate data. We're going to look at it at the college level, and we're going to look at it at the district level. And then we come to the final review. So the final review, again, what action do you plan on doing with this program? What is the summary for that? Why did you give the above answer, as far as whether you're just going to continue with minor improvements, if there'll be significant modifications, if the program's placed on inactive status. I also want to say, you know, this review is through 2019. So what you're actually working on within FY20 is not within this review period. So the review period ended as of last June 30th, 2019. I think that covers it. Now, I did also have the adult education template, I believe. I thought I had it open. Let's see. Yes. So, Jacqueline, this is your report. Did you want to go through this? Again, it's a similar structure. We start with the summary review, what you talked about last, you know, at your last review. It also has the needs section, the cost effectiveness section, and then the quality section.
So we'll take a first stab at this, Marylou, and then we'll reach out to you.
Okay, and then it just ends up again in your review. So.
Okay.
All righty.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I believe that takes care of, whoops, there. So let's see. So that brings us to any questions, or did I bring upon more questions? The bottom line is we're here to help. You know, I realize it's a big task, but I always want to stress that this is not a research task. This really is an opportunity for you to look at what you're doing and, you know, look at that and just reporting it up. So yes, ICCB mandates it, but it's really an important task for you to do these reviews.
Thank you so much, Marylou. It looks like Danielle just has one last question. It looks like he wasn't able to find philosophy in the 2015 ICCB program for review. So maybe that's something you guys could take a few moments after we're logging off and touch base on. But are there any other questions that anyone else has, as we have a few more minutes together?
And Kurian, do you want to wrap anything up?
Yeah, I just want to answer Daniel's question. Yeah, the reason you're not finding philosophy there is because philosophy is not reviewed as a program. It is reviewed under the humanities and arts as the academic discipline. So all these um, all these areas that comes under the academic discipline of humanities and arts would be under one umbrella, that's one academic discipline.
And I'll just add to that in that, you know, again, since the template didn't really exist 5 years ago, they just really made a comment about humanities and fine arts. So it may not have been so specifically broken out as philosophy.
Okay. Any other questions on any of these or anything related to that?
There's nothing else in the chat box. It looks like just a lot of thank yous for your time and for this presentation. It is being recorded, so the link will be on the CTE's website. And oh, Jill had a last question about the deadline. Marylou or Kurian, is the deadline May 15th or is it extended? I know you had one slide with the timeline earlier.
Yes, it is extended to June 15th, but given that most of the faculty members would be away after May 15th, I think it is prudent to get it completed by 15th. But we have extended it until June 15th for deans to complete it and finalize it. So it is entirely up to you to whether to complete it by May 15th or utilize that extended 1 month to get it finalized with the dean. So, but the deadline is June 15th to receive at the research office.
And I'll just also add, you know, we haven't yet, the ICCB has not extended the deadline at this point. I don't know if they intend to, but
Marylou,
yes, that's right. You're right.
It's not. They have extended it. They have extended it by 1 month, so it is going to be September 30th. But that's not going to help much because we need to work on it to finalize it by during the summer time. So anyway, the faculty would be working on it this spring would like to get it completed before they leave for summer break. So, but still, because of that extension, we have extended the date to receive at the research office from May 15th to June 15th. So that's why that extension.
And my only point was that I was going to say it's once it gets turned in, it's still a lot of work for us. So, you know, that's why our summer is really spent in formatting this. So just when you complete it doesn't mean the project's completed. So that's why we didn't really extend it any further.
And also it goes through different reviews at different levels. So deans then to the executive team, they usually take a month to a month and a half. So we need to get this done by sometime in August for submission by September 30th.
We appreciate everyone showing up. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time. And or, you know, Kurian and I, you can go to research@triton.edu. Or, you know, I'm glad to get on the phone and talk with you or respond to any answers.
Great. Thanks,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.